Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all my Bubble Man Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for April 2022. I've been trying to do deck profiles that solely focus on the individual heroes for quite some time now. Clayman, Wildheart, and now we're moving on to Bubble Man with the next one. We've also done Sparkman, don't want to leave Sparkman out. Bubble Man actually had a good number of different spell support throughout the GX series. Some interesting ones at that. One that really don't, relate much to the hero monsters for them, but still focusing on Bubble Man as the main support in this deck. It has a pretty awesome effect compared to some of the other ones we've worked with, including a special summon option, and then being able to also draw 2 cards if you have no cards in your hand or cards in the field when you summon out Bubble Man, giving you more of like a defensive resource to use against your opponent. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the hero monsters, we are running 3 Elemental Hero Bubble Man, meaning your main card in the deck. It's a definite 3 of. If this card is the only card in your hand, you can special summon it from your hand. And when this card is summoned, you can draw 2 cards. You must control no other cards and have no cards in your hand to activate and resolve this effect. So if you have your Elemental Hero Bubble Man, this could be your final go-to resource. Just giving you 2 more cards can definitely change a playstyle in a hero deck, since we're running some pretty good spells like Mass Change, or even just drawing into a Polymerization and one other hero monster can be the fusion play needed to at least go up against your opponent. So that draw 2 with Bubble Man will definitely come in handy late game if it's the one card you draw into, or the last card left in your hand. For additional search power, including getting out to Bubble Man, I run 3 Elemental Hero Stratos. I always like to go for the more generic hero builds with these fun deck profiles for the individual heroes, but being able to search out Bubble Man with Stratos is just an added additional help with this deck. And there's also a combo, which I'll show at the end, that I like to do with Bubble Shuffle, one of the 3 different spell cards for Elemental Hero Bubble Man. Now, sadly, we don't have the Metamorphosis Bubble Man in the deck, since Metamorphosis is banned and there's no way to get out Neo Bubble Man. So sadly, maybe one day in the future we'll see a deck with an additional way to summon out that monster on the field. The other hero monster, for the water support being a big focus of the deck, I'm running 3 Elemental Hero Ocean. If you have Liquid Soldier, which is kind of a pricey card now, but later on I think it's going to be reprinted in the Legendary Duelist Season 3, so it might be more readily available. Ocean's more of a recycle card, being able to add hero monsters back to our hands, so a great recycle. Having no cards in our hand, having Ocean on the field to then just summon out Bubble Man, being a hero special summon option, being the last card in our hand. But once again, if you do have Liquid Soldier, you can always replace the Elemental Hero Oceans with additional copies of that card when you get them. And I also run 2 copies of Elemental Hero Prisma, being able to just reveal a fusion monster in your extra deck and send one of the fusion materials from it to the graveyard, and then making this card count can make this card become Bubble Man, which we do run a good number of different fusions that all rely on Elemental Hero Bubble Man in the extra deck. So being able to at least set up more cards with Prisma. If you wanted to run 3 copies, you can always drop down the number of Ocean to a 3rd copy of Prisma, but that's player preference also. And then for some of the one-ofs for the heroes, I just run 1 Clayman, 1 Sparkman, 1 Burstinatrix, and 1 Avion. Now this also goes back to the fact that Prisma can copy all of these cards, since they are all also on the individual fusions that you see here as well. Being able to then just get them out of the deck is a little more deck thinning option using Elemental Hero Prisma. And that is it for the monsters. Like I said, we stuck to a pure hero build, focusing on just the Elemental Hero Bubble Man for the initial playstyle of the deck, and being the majority of the different spells that focus on Bubble Man in the deck also. For these spells, his best spell of all is the Bubble Blaster. It's an equip spell. You can only equip this to Elemental Hero Bubble Man. You increase the attack of the equipped monster by 800 points. If the equipped monster be destroyed as a result of battle, destroy this card instead, and the battle damage taken to the control of this equipped monster is 0. So it gives you more of an offensive play style. This is entirely a fun equip spell to use. It only really adds on to the nostalgia you get when playing as one of Jaden's best combinations. It may have been one of the plays I remember, but just Jaden activating, Pot of Greed, drawing 2 cards, including Bubble Man and Bubble Blaster, being able to summon Bubble Man and get the draw 2 still, without having to have no cards in your hand, was another thing that made Bubble Man especially broken broken in the anime series, but 3 Bubble Blaster just for the equip power that it brings with Bubble Man. But one of the better spells that I tried to make use of for Elemental Hero Bubble Man in the deck is Bubble Illusion. It is a quick play spell. You can activate this card while there's a face-up Elemental Hero Bubble Man on your side of the field. During this turn, you can activate 1 trap card from your hand. So this gave me more ideas on what I may want to use for my trap lineup to work with Bubble Illusion, which we'll get to when we go over the traps. And the last of the Bubble Man support spells is 2 Bubble Shuffle. You target 1 face-up attack position Elemental Hero Bubble Man you control and 1 face-up attack position monster your opponent controls. Change both of them to defense position, then tribute that Elemental Hero Bubble Man, and special summon 1 Elemental Hero monster from your hand. So it gives you more of a defensive play if your opponent is going after your Elemental Hero Bubble Man, being able to at least swap that monster as long as it's not a link monster of your opponent's to defense position, and then giving you another hero monster to summon out from your hand onto the field, which can be very resourceful depending on the hero monster it was. And it also says special summon it from your hand, so you don't necessarily have to summon that other hero you summon out in attack position. It can go on the defense just like you were going to do with Bubble Man. And I also run 3 Mass Change. The Water Attribute Masked Heroes are a big help in the deck. Masked Hero Acid and Masked Hero Vapor, adding different combos to use with also the other Water Elemental Hero we run, which is Absolute Zero, is a big help with all the different Water Hero plays we can focus on in this deck. So 3 Mass Changes, you have the potential to get all 3 of these heroes out onto the field using cards like Elemental Hero Bubble Man or Ocean or Liquid Soldier, whichever ones you run additionally. And for more search power, especially getting to our Elemental Hero Bubble Man, I run 3 Emergency Call. It's not a once per turn. You can just add as many different hero monsters, and especially if you open up 2, you can then choose which combo you want to go with for your Elemental Hero Bubble Man. I love that Bubble Man has, you know, a fusion, aside from Sparkman, with the original heroes each, including Clayman, Avian, and Burstinatrix to be able to go into. So the search with Emergency Call always comes in handy. And for more fusion power, the 3 Polymerization, just to be able to fuse more readily with the resources we use, including just having the option to then go into Elemental Hero Sunrise with the different attribute hero monsters we run, and then have the Miracle Fusion to go for the second fusion. And I run 2 Miracle Fusion. I only run 2 because it is searchable with Elemental Hero Sunrise, so I feel like that's fine for that search power there, and you don't really want to get rid of too many of your Bubble Man resources in this deck by banishing them. So 2, just to go into those different fusions, and also being able to count cards like Prisma, as the name means, you can even potentially banish the card you sent from the graveyard with Prisma, along with any other ones in the graveyard. And then the last of the spells is just the 1 Hero Lives. Having no monsters paying half your life, and if you control no other cards, is a great addition to summon out your Bubble Man onto the field, because then when it is summoned, if you have no other cards, it's an additional draw 2, thanks to the Hero Lives option. And that is it for the spells. We'll now move on to the traps. Being a water deck, once again, this is my personal favorite to run in the Bubble Man deck, and that is Torrential Reborn. With this card, when a face-up water monster you control is destroyed by battle or a card effect and sent to the graveyard, special summon the monster destroyed and sent to the field to the graveyard at that time, then inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each of those special summon monsters. You can only activate 1 Torrential Reborn per turn. So I'll go over the combo I like with the Bubble Illusion and Torrential Reborn at the end of the video to then just make full use of your Bubble Man again, depending on the luck of the draw that you go with that card also. And lastly, the choice for the next trap spot was solely based on the fact that it is a water deck, and that is 2 Drowning Mirror Force. If you want to run normal Mirror Force or Storming Mirror Force, all these cards just being able to be activated by the hand thanks to Bubble Illusion means you can chain Bubble Illusion to a potential destruction your opponent may have, having Bubble Man on the field, and then keep this trap safe in your hand for you to activate against your opponent. As long as they see this trap in your hand, they'll definitely be wary on attacking into you, because even if their board is clear, you can still activate the Drowning Mirror Force from your hand and shuffle back all of your opponent's monsters into their deck. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. For the Elemental Hero Fusions, I run 2 Elemental Hero Absolute Zero. It must be Fusion Summoned. It gains 500 attack for each water monster on the field except for Absolute Zero. And if this card leaves the field, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. So you can easily make it leave the field thanks to cards like Mass Change, getting out Masked Hero Acid. Then Absolute Zero will destroy all their monsters, and you can rely on Acid to destroy all their spell and traps. For the Bubble Man Fusions, I run the 1 Steam Healer. This is the the fusion needed with Burstinatrix. You use Mudball Man for the more defensive playstyle with Clayman, Mariner with Avion for the direct attack option, and Tempest for the Sparkman setup with Avion as well. A little more difficult since we don't always have resources on the field to use to protect with Tempest, but still I want to have all the options available with the original 4 heroes. And for the other fusions, I also run the 1 Vision Hero Adoration, 1 Trinity, and the Elemental Hero Sunrise. These are more of the generic plays to go into. Sunrise is great for the setup also with cards like Extra Hero, Infernal Devicer, being able to search those individual cards, including Bubble Man. And for the masked heroes, I run the 1 Vapor, which is mostly just a card that cannot be destroyed by card effects, so more of a protective option. And then the better of the 2 being the Masked Hero Acid. And when special summon destroys many spell and traps your opponent controls as possible, and if you do, all monsters they control lose 300 attack. So just a 2600 monster that after you attack with Absolute Zero or switch it out, you can even just blow up all cards in your opponent's field using this combo. And for the Link monsters, I run 1 Dread Decimator, the 1 Wonder Driver for the additional Masked Chain Search, and the 1 Infernal Devicer for the search power of being able to search out the many different monsters by revealing a hero fusion in our extra deck and then searching out the materials listed on that card. As for some of the go-to plays in the deck, utilizing all of the different Bubble Man spells, you have more of the defensive play style thanks to Bubble Man and these cards. With the Bubble Blaster, this is more of an attack position. Go into the assault against your opponent with your different equipped spells for you to use. It's one of the easier cards to set up since you just need the 2 cards to go for this. One of the more complicated plays that I spoke of was with Bubble Man, setting the Bubble Illusion and then having the Torrential Born being the last card in your hand. So with it, you have Bubble Man out on the field. You will activate the Bubble Illusion to then make it so you can activate a trap from your hand this turn. Your opponent will attack into your Bubble Man and destroy it. That is when you will activate the Torrential Reborn, which once again being in your hand, it can avoid destruction from any other cards your opponent may have. And since your Bubble Man was destroyed, you can then special summon it back onto the field, inflicting 500 damage to your opponent with that. And then if you control no other cards, having the additional draw 2 from Bubble Man since it was summoned, and you control no cards in your hand or on the field as well, giving you 2 additional cards that could potentially be used next against your opponent. And then the Bubble Shuffle play is used when you have Bubble Shuffle, Bubble Man, and 1 additional hero monster. The best one would definitely be when it's Stratos, because then you can summon out Bubble Man, set the Bubble Shuffle, your opponent attacks into Bubble Man, you activate it, switching both, and then tributing Bubble Man to summon out the Stratos in your hand, which can then give you a search for an additional hero monster for you to add to your hand, which since it is the Elemental Hero Bubble Man deck, you will add an additional Bubble Man to make up for the one you just lost. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Bubble Man was one of my favorites from the original GX series with just how much potential and how much it saved Jaden from his original combos. And I hope you all enjoyed. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Twig out.